All right, ladies and gentlemen, so today we're going to take a look at actually starting to solve these inequalities. And again, this should be a review from last year with the exception of what we do with it at the end and put it in either set builder notation or interval notation. But we're going to start off with this true statement that 2 is less than 9. Hopefully you agree with that. Well, I want to know, well, what happens if I add 3 to both sides? Well, 2 plus 3 is 5. 9 plus 3 is 12. That is still a true statement. All right, so I can add things to both sides. I can add a positive anyway. Let's see what happens if I add a negative 3. So 2 plus negative 3 is negative 1. And I want to know, is that less than 9 plus negative 3, which is 6? All right, so I'm going to actually label true, true. What if so right now we know we can add positives, we can add negatives to both sides. All right, what about if I multiply both sides by by 3? So 2 times 3 is 6, and we want to know 9 times 3 is 27, still a true statement. What if I multiply both sides by a negative? So we're going to have 2 times negative 3 is negative 6, and 9 times negative 3 is negative 27. Well, this is no longer a true statement. This is false. If I had switched the inequality, then it would have been a true statement. So that right here is what we need to focus on. When you multiply, that should say, or divide, an inequality by a negative, you must switch the inequality sign. But it only happens if you are multiplying or dividing by a negative. Okay, so let's see how we can do these here. Apparently my board is not working again. All right, so let's see what we can do here. So x plus 6 is greater than or equal to 10. My steps are still all the same. I have to get x by itself, so I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides, which is really like adding a negative, so I know nothing's going to change here. So x has to be greater than or equal to 4. They want me to solve, graph, and write it in interval and set builder notation. So we're doing 4 things here. So on a graph, we put 4 in the center. We do 3 and 5. My circle is going to have to be colored in because it says or equal to. I need it to be greater than, so that's heading towards the 5. So there's the solving, there's the graph. So set or interval notation. So I'm going from 4 to infinity. 4 is colored in, so it's the hard bracket. Infinity always gets the soft. Set builder notation, that's the fancy brackets. And it's all x such that, that's what the line means, x is greater than or equal to 4. Right, and that's where you just put in this part of the problem. All right, number 6. So here I have c plus a third, so I have to subtract 1/3 from both sides. So c is less than, that's going to give me 6/3, which really means c is less than 2. So on my number line, 2 is in the center, 1 and 3. My circle goes at 2. This time I do not color it in because it doesn't say or equal to. It needs to be less than 2. So we're going to the left this time. So in my interval notation, I'm going from negative infinity to 2. Well, infinities always get soft. This is not colored in, so it also gets soft, or the curved ones. In set builder notation, right, we have all c, change the variable here, such that, and then I fill in the problem, or the answer, I should say. C is less than 2. All right, next one. So for number 7, here I have to get rid of the negative 3/8, which means I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, negative 8/3. Well, I'm putting a little star here because I'm multiplying by its I'm multiplying by its negative, which means my sign has to change. So it's going to go from less than to greater than. And negative 8/3 times 3/4 is going to give me a positive 2. I'm going to switch this so that my variable's on the left, which means it's really m is less than 2, which is going to look exactly like what we had over here. So 1, 2, 3, open circle, going left, interval notation, negative infinity to 2, and set builder m such that m is less than 2. Okay, next one. Now I have to divide by a -6. So again, I'm dividing by a negative, so I know I'm going to be switching my sign. 28 divided by 6 is going to give me 4.5. Excuse me. So on a number line, I am going to do 4.5, 4, and 5. I'm sorry, that is not 4.5. It is 4.6 repeating. So I'm actually going to write that as 4 2/3. So I'm going to do 4 1/3, 4 2/3, and 5. This time I get a colored in circle. And I need this to be greater than or equal to m, so I'm actually going to the left. If you wanted to flip it, you could certainly do that so that it looks like that. So there's my graph in my interval notation. So I'm going to go from -infinity to 4 2/3. Negative infinities always get curved or soft. 4 2/3 always gets, because it's filled in, gets the hard bracket. And in your set builder notation, all m such that m is less than or equal to 4 2/3. Okay, so again, the only new parts there should be the fact that we have to write it in set builder notation and interval notation. But any questions, as always, bring them with you to class. Have a good night, guys.